welcome to the Schwartz Advisors Report. I'm Emma Henderson, Managing Editor for Aftermarket News. With me today is Bruce Tartaglione. He is a partner at Schwartz Advisors. How are you doing?
Emma, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me here. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, especially when we're talking about our services to the marketplace and how we serve the marketplace and how we see our perspective of the marketplace. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, and it's great to see you in person.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's different than being over Zoom.
Yeah, but it's actually fun doing here at the show.
Exactly.
I mean, the excitement of the show, people getting ready, setting up for the next couple of days. It's fun, so I enjoyed it.
Absolutely. So let's get to it.
Okay.
You and your Schwartz Advisors colleagues are involved in many transactions and talk to sellers all the time. So are there some common questions sellers often ask?
Well, first of all, let me just say that this has been probably the busiest year in the history of Schwartz Advisors with all the M&A activity going on. We just concluded 4 transactions in the last 60 days. There's 3 more that are probably going to hit by the end of the year. If not, then maybe the first of the year. But the success that we've had and the activity that we've had in 2024, we believe is just really going to carry over in 2025. So it's been very busy. One of the most common questions that are asked of us is, when's the best time to start the thought process for an end strategy? Right? And we have to deal with that at a couple of different levels. But I think timing is one of the most asked questions to Schwartz Advisors.
That makes sense. So when sellers ask that question, what is your advice?
So one of the questions, when's the best time to build a strategy? And there's a couple of different trains of thought here. Some owners like to do that when they first get into the business and they buy the business. It's almost like when they're buying a car or a house or an investment. When they buy a car, they have a game plan. I like new cars and I like driving new cars, so maybe every 36 months, I'm going to trade that car and get another car. But then when it comes to 36 months down the road, the interest rates are pretty high, the price of new cars are just skyrocket, and you decide to keep the car for a much longer period of time. When you're looking at buying a house, I'm going to buy this house, I'm going to live in it for the next 30 years. I'm going to raise the family in it, I'm going to retire here, and after 30 years, I'm going to go find a place on the beach to go live. And then 4 years later, you get transferred. You want to make an investment, and you say, when the stock reaches here, I think we're going to sell. But as you get close to that, the stock has been creeping north, and it's looking really good, and you decide to keep it. So the moral of the story is, they have a plan, they understand that plan, but things change and things happen that makes you adjust that plan. Well, it's the same thing in ownership of a business. We have some owners that like to look at it at the early stages of ownership. I bought into this business, I think I want to hold it for the next 30 years. I think I want to be able to offer it as a family business. I want it to be multi-generational. And the kids work in the business for a few years. They go off to college, they get their degree, and they go into other industries. So they now have to adjust and say, okay, that's not going to happen. So what am I going to do? Am I going to sell this to trusted employees? Am I going to go to a strategic player in the marketplace? Am I going to find an investor? The moral of the story is you need to have a plan. You need to be able to make adjustments to those plans as things impact and affect your business, whether it's labor rates, interest rates, competitiveness in the marketplace. Maybe it's health issues. Maybe it is the lack of succession planning. So you have to be able to have a plan, adjust those plans, and work that plan. And as long as you give yourself time to do that, you're in really good shape. Now, there is another train of thought that says, maybe early in the ownership is not the time to be thinking, am I going to exit this business in 25 or 30 years? I don't know what's going to happen in 20, 25, 30 years. So they wait until later in the life cycle of the business, when they start really thinking about retirement. And they start thinking, okay, now what do I want to do with the business? And they can do the same thing that an owner does early in the ownership stage. They have time to plan, a time to adjust those plans, and a time to make sure that if there's anything that's impacting the business from a negative standpoint, they have time to fix it. So the question isn't really timing, do I do it in the beginning of ownership, later in the ownership? Timing is all about giving yourself enough time to look at that business, analyze that business, and be able to make the adjustments so you can correct the negatives and get the most value out of the business.
Absolutely. What is the best time to consider an exit strategy?
Well, like I said, I'm not sure if it's in the beginning of ownership or the back end of ownership, as long as we said you give yourself time to make those adjustments. For example, we just had a client that sold his business not too long ago, and he had the 25-year plan. But he also knew that he had to make adjustments along the way. And every year he sat down with his wife and they talked about the business. We're going to have to change this, adjust this. We need to probably open up a store to go do this. We need to do this. So they made adjustments, but they had a plan. And they had a plan, they worked that plan, and they made sure when it was time to actually implement their exit strategy, all those red flags were gone. And he actually ended up low double digits valuation more than he expected in the business. So that's a great success story. So have a plan, work the plan, make the adjustments, and you'll be okay.
Just taking that little bit of time.
It's a lot of time, but right. Yes, being smart about it. Again, whether you do it in the beginning of ownership or the end of ownership, timing is not when you do it, it's just giving yourself enough time to make those adjustments to make sure that you have the best value in the business, the best equity you're going to get out of the business.
Absolutely. And so is it ever too late to start thinking about an exit strategy?
Yes, I would say it's too late when you don't give yourself that time to look at the business, analyze that business, and make the adjustments to the red flags. It could be you need to work the inventory. You know, one of the largest assets you have. If the inventory is out of whack, you're going to get lesser valuation for the business. Your labor costs might be high. You may have too many people on the payroll. Your SG&A is too high. Maybe it's a competitive nature. Maybe the margins aren't right. You've got to give yourself enough time to fix those. We did have a client that one day just woke up and said, I'm tired. The business is tired. I want out by the end of the year. And he was not very successful in getting the most valuation he could out of the business because he didn't plan for that exit strategy. He basically said, in 4 months, I want out, and it became just a basic asset sale. And he made the mistake of not planning. So the moral of the story is have a plan, work that plan, make the adjustments, and you should be okay when you go to sell the business. Now, the other side where I would say it was a less fortunate or a bad time to look at development strategy is when your business has been going along for the last 3 or 4 years, maybe just riding the cusp, underperforming, and you have a blip in the business, you have a spike in the business, and the business goes up. And you're thinking, oh, this is great, I'm gonna hang out of the business for a couple more years. And then all of a sudden, that spike goes down. And that happened a lot during the pandemic. People got subsidies to help their finances of the business. The finances looked better, and they're thinking, oh, we're in great shape. When the subsidies went away, so did that trend. And it almost became a free fall. So yeah, so that's a bad time to do it. And the message we give and the advice we give on that is trends don't lie, okay? Spikes in the business lie. So again, at the end of the day, you need to have a plan, you need to make adjustments to that plan, and you need to be able to work it on a day in and day out basis. And if you do that, you should be in great shape when it comes to implementing that exit strategy and selling the business.
Gotcha. So is today's market and business climate conducive to selling my business?
Well, I go back to our introduction when we said hello. Mm-hmm. This has been one of the busiest years for Schwartz Advisors in the history of the firm. And we believe that to continue in 2025. And even with interest rates being up higher, there is a tremendous demand for well-run founder or family-owned businesses that have done that planning process. So the answer is yes. For those companies that are underperforming, make sure you have that time that you put in it to say, okay, what are those red flags? How do I fix that? And how do I drive that into maybe a successful sale of the business? My other advice is, whether your business is on the upswing and you've done the planning, or your business is stagnant or maybe underperforming, you need to find yourself a very trusted advisor to help you through that, and that's where Schwartz Advisors comes in. We're able to help you develop those strategies. We help you look at those red flags. We help you with solutions to fix that and turn around so you can get the most equity out of your business. For those that the businesses aren't doing quite as well, we help them do the same thing. And then we help them with the due diligence. We work through and make sure those red flags are taken away. And then we match up the goals and objectives of a potential buyer to what the seller has. And then we help them through the negotiation. And through that process, and it's a long, tedious process, we ask the seller to stay focused on your business and let Schwartz Advisor or your advisor handle the due diligence, work with potential buyers, and bring it to a successful selling process. So that's it. So work your plan, adjust those plans, and give yourself time to make adjustments when you need to, and you should be in good shape when you sell your business.
All right, sounds great.
Good.
Bruce, thank you so much for being here today.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
This has been the Schwartz Advisors Report for AMN. I'm Emma Henderson. Thank you so much for joining us.